Hello students, welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nandkyolier and Siliguri Corridor is back in news because the state government of West Bengal has decided to transfer 120 acres of land around the national highways to the central government. In this session, we'll understand what this transfer would mean for India strategically and where exactly is the Siliguri Corridor. Okay? So the West Bengal government, as I already told you, it has approved the transfer of 7 national highway stretches. Okay, 7 national highway stretches to the central government. And here we are anticipating that a lot of good things are going to come in. This was actually pending for nearly a year. And now with the formation of a new government, we see that the transfer has happened. Transfer of 7 national highway stretches. And this is going to help India in a faster execution of, sending our troops, our army and everything, logistics, operational challenges that are usually around the Siliguri Corridor or the Chicken's Neck with central government's power or with the central government's control over these national highways that are actually close to the border areas. We are anticipating a faster troop movement. Okay. So the decision is important because it links infrastructure development with border management. Infrastructure development is going to happen. How? We will see that new rail links are also being, rail stretches are going to be connected and they're also going to be expanded. So infrastructure development is also going to take place, and then border management is also taking place because these highway stretches that we are talking about, they are close to the border areas. Northeast connectivity, strategic security around the Siliguri Corridor or the Chicken's Neck. So Siliguri Corridor is often in the news. Chicken's Neck, it is often in the news because of the strategic location that it has. So if you look at the map over here, this part in the North-West Bengal, this part is the Siliguri Corridor, and it's only 22 kilometers wide at the narrowest point. And if you see, this is actually connecting the mainstream India to all our northeastern states. Correct? Mainstream India is being connected to the northeastern states, and if anything happens over here, if this is unfortunately due to any circumstances, if this gets cut off, then we are going to lose access to 50 million population that is there in the northeastern states, and all the logistical challenges are going to come up. Movement will be disrupted, trade is going to be disrupted, and security, most importantly, security is going to be under threat. That's why this is of utmost importance. And if you see this, if you see its location exactly, so here we have Nepal. This area is very close to Nepal. It is bordering Nepal. Then we have Bangladesh also on the south. On the northeast, we have Bhutan. And it is also very close to the Chumbi Valley of China. It is very close to the Chumbi Valley also. It is very close to Doklam also. And in 2017 only, we saw a standoff, right? A standoff at Doklam between India and China, India-China-Bhutan tri-junction basically. This saw a standoff. So we have been seeing that China wants to expand its infrastructure in this area, in the entire region over here. And this looks like an encroachment to India because it's a security threat. It's not directly our area. This is not our area. But if anything happens, if infrastructure development takes place in like China develops these things over this region, then it is going to have a direct control or kind of a more, easier way. It is going to have an easier way to get to this place. So it is going to be closer to the Siliguri Corridor or closer to Chicken's Neck, and the volatile relationship that we have with China, we cannot really afford China to do that. That's why we've always been opposing such infrastructure projects, and that is why we also saw this Doklam standoff. And that's why it becomes extremely important for India to take care of this entire region, because if due to any circumstances, if China starts gaining control over areas that are near to the Siliguri Corridor, then at the times of tension, there might be a disruption in this area. And if that happens, then we are going to lose access to our entire northeastern states, and then we'll have to rely on Bangladesh. And we know that the relationship between India and Bangladesh also has not been great ever since Sheikh Hasina's government was overturned. So these things are also very volatile at the moment, and that's why India keeps a track of this region. And now we see these 7 national highway stretches that are being transferred to the central government. So what this nod would mean, we're talking about some key highways over here. NH31, NH33, NH312 will now fall under NHAI, National Highways Authority of India. They are going to fall under NHAI. And this is going to help us how? It is going to help us in faster execution. So right now, like before this, they were under the state PWD. And many a times what happens that even though these are national highways, the day-to-day control is with some part, like the day-to-day control here is with the PWD agencies. Then when we talk about the funding, that is actually being approved by somebody else. Then when we talk about any construction that has to take place, environmental clearance is taken care of by some other agency. So there are a lot of agencies that are there, a lot of stakeholders that are there, and this position is strategically very important. So if there are any, if there is a case when we have to ensure faster execution, faster troop movement, in that case we don't really want to be stuck in delays. So to avoid these operational delays, these logistical delays, and also to enhance the infrastructure development in the entire region, we see this transfer happening. So now the control is going to be with the central government. And when we talk about central government agencies like NHAI, so these agencies, they have larger funds, they have they have more money that they can spend on infrastructure development. Then they have a direct connection with all these ministries, so the approvals can come in faster, so the execution is going to be faster, right? So the stretches that we are talking about over here are Sevok Coronation Bridge, Hasimara Jaigaon, and Changrabanda Corridor, which will be managed by NHIDCL, National Highways Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited. So NHAI and NHIDCL are going to take care of this infrastructure development. And when we talk about this development, then what is going to happen? Underground and expanded railway infrastructure will be developed. So right now, the framework that we have, or the stretches that we have, they are double track railway, and that is going to be upgraded to a 6-track system. Okay, from double track we are going to move to a 6-track system. And then we are also going to develop 2 tracks underground, 40 kilometers, 2-track underground. And these underground corridors or these underground stretches are going to help us particularly in cases of airstrikes, right? If there are airstrikes or drone attacks on India, in that case these underground stretches, rail stretches, are going to be of utmost importance, correct? Then fortifying national security and border control, I already told you now, because a lot of stakeholders are not going to be involved in the direct execution, direct approval. Everything is going to be with the central government, so we can ensure faster delivery of things over here, faster execution of, or faster movement of our army troops. And when we even talk about freight, so the freight capacity that these rails will have, they are like equivalent to 300 trucks. 300 trucks. One freight train is capable of carrying the load that 300 trucks carry. So whenever there has to be a troop movement, or whenever there has to be any logistical movement, there has to be any movement, if there is something that we need to provide, we need to provide any sort of an assistance, aid, anything of that sort, in these cases also these railway stretches are going to be very, very important, correct? And boosting the northeast development and all weather connectivity. So this is like climate resilient infrastructure that we're trying to build over here, so that they're not affected by landslides, they're not affected by floods, again simply because this is a very strategic location and we cannot afford anything to happen to this location, because in that case the entire northeast is going to cut off from mainstream India, and then it is going to be easier for our for the people who are against us on that side of the border. It is going to be easier for them to actually have access to those areas. That's why this infrastructure development over here and border management in this region is of extreme importance. Okay, so that was all for this discussion. Now we will look at a practice question for prelims. Consider the following statements regarding the Siliguri Corridor. 1. It is approximately 22 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. 2. It is located in the state of Assam. 3. It shares borders with Nepal, Bhutan and Bangladesh. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 and 2 only, B. 2 and 3 only, C. 1 and 3 only, or D. 1, 2 and 3. Please attempt this question and provide your answers in the comment section. Thank you for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.